Hi, thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to show you how I'm going to paint some, I don't know, fun whimsical flowers onto a cabinet door that I'm making into a tray. I'm not sure if I've shown you any videos before or not. I know I may have. But this particular one I'm going to actually hand paint. I've already done the base coating of the ivory, and I am using folk art enamels once again. As I've mentioned before, I use them on everything from glass to walls. And then tonight we'll just be doing the roses themselves, and then the next video will be showing you how to add the leaves, the green leaves. So again, as I mentioned, I have already done the basic base coat, which I'm using ivory, and I'm just going to go on here with a round paintbrush. I don't use round paintbrushes very often, so I apologize for the look of this one. It's pretty crazy looking, but that's basically because I don't really have a good set of them because I don't use them very often. Alright, so basically when you're doing this, you're just going to start out and you're just going to try to make just a crazy flower design. Nothing, once again, nothing set that has to be specific, just, random wiggly lines. I mean, if you want to be more precise, once again, you can, that's up to you. I don't really care to, so I'm just doing my own thing, which I prefer to do. Alright, so I'm basically just, doing a wiggle line around and just going to, no set pattern. I mean, right now I'm kind of doing the edges and, putting, looks like a straight line of designs across it, but it won't stay that way. And I'm going to be using 3 different colors. I'm using berry wine, and that's what I'm using right at the moment. And then I'm going to use magenta, and then some white, and then probably go back on, go back over it. And they don't have to be the same size either. Make it interesting. Like I said, they definitely don't have to be in the same spot. I feel like I'm making them that way, and I don't want them to be that way, so I am going to try to be more creative with it. Like I said, they can be different sizes. They don't have to be all the same size. Some can be small, large. Put them in to fit in the spaces that you're having. I just like randomness, as I've mentioned before. Then I will add some handles to this once it's completely dry, and I will throw some varnish on it. I use spray varnish. We have a favorite brand that we use, and I use that on it. It's really on all of my stuff that we do that requires varnish, I should say. Because some things that we actually paint, we don't add varnish because people are signing on them. And you can actually have a cabinet door made for a signing piece too if you wanted to. Like I said, now this end is going to be different than the other end. I'm not into making them all look the same. So if you have to have everything exactly so, then that's how you should create yours. But this is mine, so I choose for it not to be that way. Alright, so, whoops, I forgot to put a middle in this one. Alright, so the next one I'm going to go to, I'm not even going to clean my brush, I'm going to go into the magenta. And I'm just going to kind of just randomly place this color in different spots throughout the flower, just to give it some interest. And like I said, when you guys are doing these projects, think outside the box and do them how you want to do them. This is just giving you an idea of maybe how to do something or how to get started, but you don't have to do it identical. This is just an inspiration, I should say, more or less. Don't be identical to somebody else's work. If their work inspires you, that's fine, but don't copy it. Be creative. And like I said, I'm just sporadically putting these in different places as far as the magenta goes, and you just keep building it. It's not the last time I can use this color. If I want to go back in, maybe I've got too much pink, or I don't like the shape of how a flower turned out, and I want to, maybe add some more swoopiness to it, then paint it, do it. Go back in, add that color again. It's okay, you build. I mean, if you're doing like a one-stroke technique, no. I mean, yeah, you can build on that too if you want. There are ways to do that too. But that's pretty much, I load my brush and I create the look I want in that one stroke. That's the whole point of it. It's a technique that can get you from point A to B very quickly and easily for some, not so easy for others. I happen to enjoy it, but I like different techniques. I like to learn. I'm basically self-taught. And I don't know if any of you, I think I've said this before in videos, but basically started off several years ago, about the time my children were getting close to the end of their high school careers, and I knew that I needed to focus on something. I had been wanting to do a business for quite some time and had tried several things throughout raising my children. Just was kind of hard because they were so involved in things, so I just thought, you know what, I'm not even going to do it. But then once they got out of school, I thought, I need something to fill my time. Not to cut that short, but now I'm going back in and I'm just adding another color. Okay, and like I said, I'm just kind of dapping it here and there. And if you want to leave some of the ivory exposed, you can do that as well. But anyhow, going back to my story, I started painting outside. I was really into the outside. Got into doing plants and patios and stuff like that, and trying to come up with some creative things that people might want to buy and put out in their yard. So I worked out in my own yard, and my husband was gracious enough to, he didn't say much, well, didn't say anything, honestly, thank God. I started painting from pretty much one side of my yard to another. I did painting on my privacy fences, on stones for the patio, and then I really have a fetish for old doors. At the time, I had a friend that lives in an old area of Columbus that is very well known for a lot of remodeling of old homes, and so she would get these old doors, which my husband doesn't really quite see those as gems like I do, but anyhow, she would bring them over to my house, and of course his thing would be like, oh God, now what are we doing with these? It's like, just hold on, hold on. So I made a kind of like a screen for my outside. It was out of, I believe, 5 doors, if I remember correctly. I don't live in that house any longer. And put them together, did a floral design, and had them as a screen just for interest out in my backyard, one of my gardens. And I just absolutely loved it. Well, one day, my son, as I'm doing all this different painting, because I actually painted a fence on my privacy fence that looked like there was a fence sitting up next to it, and planted a bunch of plants in front of it. It was just very nautical looking, kind of. And I absolutely loved it. So he looked around. He was an art student. He said, "Mom," he said, "look at this." He said, "Look how much you've improved from one side of the yard to the other." And I'll be darned if he wasn't right. You know, I hadn't really thought about it. You know, but I really had. And it was just such a neat thing. But it was because I wasn't afraid to do it. I wasn't afraid to paint on something that, you know, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have, maybe I should have. I don't know. But I kind of liked it. It was pretty interesting. Now I'm just going back over it with some berry wine and just kind of trying to smooth out some of the edges. You don't want to overwork it too much either, because then it's going to get to where it looks just muddy, and you don't want to do that. And you can do bigger swipes if you want. That's up to you. This one I'm doing. And you can actually maybe give it a day or so to dry. Step back and take a look at it and say, hey, what do I want to add to it? Give more definition to something. You know, if you're not happy with the shape of a flower, you don't want it to become too muddled because the paint is wet. And like I said, for this, I might just leave it alone for right now, because I don't want it to get too muddled. And on some of these, I am leaving some of the ivory to look. I think they're so fun. This is such a fun design. Like I said, you can just keep working them out until you're happy with it. It's your design. Go for it. And if you don't like what I'm doing, then do it your way. So I have no problem whatsoever with people doing their own, using my stuff as inspiration, or to give them some kind of an idea, and then they want to go off and do their own. Awesome. Their own style, or maybe you've done this before and you have suggestions. That's great too. But that's one thing, going back to not being afraid, is I watch my grandson. He's turning 2 tomorrow. And I watch him, and we do a lot of different things. And I encourage him to be creative. I'm not afraid. I get, obviously they have a lot of products on the market nowadays that are washable, easy to wash, that kind of thing, which is great. So it doesn't do any permanent, or it's easy to clean up if they happen to, crayon on your walls or whatnot, or paint all over their bodies, which can be pretty common. But anyways, we do a lot of chalking on the privacy fence, and just a lot of different crafts, which I hope I'm inspiring him to be creative and think outside the box, which is what I hope that you all will do as well. Anyways, that's it for tonight. We'll come back the next video and maybe do some touching up, and then it's time to add the leaves. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good evening. Oh, also, I always forget to say this, please subscribe to my channel. Feel free to share it. I am trying to build this, so I appreciate any help I can get from you. Please add any comments that you'd like or any questions, suggestions. It's wonderful. Thanks again for stopping by. Have a good evening.